I'd like to talk a little bit about safety. One of the little comments that we always make to people is plan your hunt and hunt your plan. Sounds like a fairly simple little statement, but it's actually a little more involved than you might think. When it comes to pre-planning a hunt, there's a lot of work that goes into that, but in order to make it safe and successful, the pre-planning is pretty important to what the end of the hunt is going to be. Part of your pre-planning is working with your entire party, your entire group, making sure that everybody is on the same page. We like to our main focus, I guess, and emphasis for our higher possibility for injuries during hunting is during our shotgun deer season. So I'll focus a little bit on that. All our hunting seasons we obviously are concerned with, but that's where we have the majority of our higher end injury incidents. During deer hunting, you need to get your party going ahead of time, make sure everybody is familiar with your area, getting overhead maps, getting everybody out to the area, making sure everybody knows exactly where they're going to be, where they need to be during that hunt is going to be very important. In Iowa, we have what's called deer drives, and there are some inherent dangers that come along with those types of activities. The deer drive itself is based on you have a group of people that are going to be pushing through either grass or timbered areas, and you have another group of people that are going to be at the other end of that, waiting for the deer that you're pushing to come out. Well, within that creates some inherent dangers. If you're pushing towards them and the deer are running, it is imperative that you know where every other member of your party is, exactly where they're going to be walking and where they're going to be coming out, so that you know exactly where you can and cannot shoot. Very important. And in order to do that, you need to be out there, you need to look at overhead maps, and you need to have very specific locations for people to be. On the planning side, that's one of the most important pieces. Once you get going, do not deviate from that plan. In Iowa, it is actually illegal to use communication devices to coordinate the movement of hunters or game, so that pre-planning has to be set in place and it has to be followed all the way through that hunt. You can't change that in midstream. That would end up causing you some problems, and it creates some dangers, and we want to make sure everybody goes home safe, obviously. More pre-planning on that side. Make sure you're being aware of what the weather is going to be. Watch the websites, watch the news, make sure you know if there's going to be a cold front coming in, rain, snow, that type of thing, so that you can better prepare for that. All right, once you're in that tree stand, make sure you're strapped in, your harness is attached tight to the tree. If you have gear that you need to pull up into that tree, make sure you're using it's called a haul line. We don't want to see people carrying their actual equipment up into the tree with them. Those steps get slick, they get cold, fingers get cold. It's easy to kind of have an accident doing that. So if you get up into that tree, use a rope, use a line of some type to pull that equipment up in that tree rather than carrying it up the steps or up a ladder with you. It's just a little bit safer to do it that way. Once you're in the stand, one of the things we suggest is that you always have a cell phone or some type of communication device on your person. If you have a backpack or something like that, try not to leave that device in the backpack. If you do that and something does happen and you end up falling, getting out of the tree, if you're injured on the ground, your phone, your walkie-talkie, whatever it may be, is still up in the tree. Doesn't do you any good up there. You need to have that on your person where you can reach it with both hands, just in case you do damage one side of your body or the other. That way you can get to it either way. Another thing that you need, if you're going to be in a full body harness, if you do fall out of the tree, you are suspended. There's a limited amount of time you can hang there. It's not a forever thing. If you get to the point where you feel like you're getting lightheaded, maybe going to lose consciousness, you got to get out of there. Just plain and simple, you got to get out of there. Even if you have to fall, you might break a leg, you might injure yourself, but it's better than dying, which that can happen. So we always suggest that you have a knife of some type. Some of your harnesses actually come with a knife. You're going to have to cut those straps, do your best to hold on to the tree, whatever you can do, but get yourself out of that harness, get down to the ground, and you're going to have to take it up from there at that point. The next thing, get into a little bit about pheasant hunting. When we pheasant hunt, we typically hunt in grassy areas. We try to keep people in a nice straight line, and as you're walking, we have what's called zones of fire. Make sure that you understand where you can and where you cannot be shooting in relation to your partner that's with you. If you have a whole line of people, each one of you has a zone of fire out in front of you that's about a 45-degree cone. Make sure you respect that. It can turn into really bad things if you start swinging clear to the side. If you don't catch that person beside you in your field of view, bad things can start happening. I don't want them to start taking pellets on that. So be a little bit careful about that. Make sure you respect that zone of fire. And with any type of hunting, one of the most important things that you need to know going in, we do have state regulations that may dictate what you can and cannot shoot, even within a species of animal that you're hunting. Say you're pheasant hunting, you can't shoot the hens, you have to shoot the roosters, and you have to be able to identify those kind of on the fly, I would say. When something gets up, you just have a split second to get that identification, whether it's a male or a female, and get that figured out before you can take a shot. So some more of the pre-planning is making sure that you really know how to identify your species target that you're hunting that day. Now, again, as hunters, we tend to be kind of secluded at times. We don't like to necessarily let a lot of people know where we're going to be. We have those secret spots, so we don't like to advertise when people want to know where we're hunting. But on the other side of that, we need to advertise where we're going to be from a safety standpoint. If you go out into the field and something bad were to happen, somebody's got to know where you're at. You may inadvertently be in the case where you can't get to that cell phone, that communication device, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling to lay there on the ground and not be able to do anything about it. At some point, your family's going to wonder where you're at. They're going to come try to find you, but they have to know where to look. Most people have multiple spots that they might be hunting. You need to let them know ahead of time where you're going to be and make sure you go to that spot. Somebody needs to know where you're at in case an emergency does come up. If you do need rescued, we can get to you. Other than that, enjoy your time out the field. Be safe out there. Pre-plan your hunt. Make sure you plan that you hunt that plan that you've set up and don't deviate from it. That's the safest way you'll get home and the most successful way you'll get back to your family.